internet access. Women are disproportionately on the wrong end of that lack of access. Then we have children who, about 2/3 of children in the developing world don't have internet access at home. And as we go further into our societies, we find that much of the lack of internet access happens in the rural areas. And even though in India, there's been some tremendous development in terms of providing increased connectivity to the rural areas, we still have 1 in 6 rural households that do not have internet access. As we think about the impact of artificial intelligence, that is likely to drive the gap even wider, make it even wider. Largely because it's going to create a wedge both within countries and across countries. Countries that are at the advanced end of the spectrum are likely to see the most job displacement, but they do have the safety nets, they do have the ability to manage the risk. The developing world countries are likely to be less affected, but the jobs that are going to be affected, many of the jobs that several of you are thinking of taking up once I see several students in the room, many of those white-collar jobs for which India has become, that's become the growth engine for the country, many of those jobs are going to go away. And new jobs are going to come in place, but we need to be able to manage that transition. And most developing countries have some challenges in being able to manage such transitions because largely the focus has been on development. So as I think about where we are on the digital planet overall, here's a quick map of where 125 countries in the world are. The further to the north you are in this map, the more digitally evolved you are. The further to the right you are of this map, the more quickly your digital economy is changing and moving. And the 2 countries that are at the very top of this listing are the United States, that is the most digitally evolved, and China, which has the greatest digital momentum. Now, where is India? India sits somewhere to the right and to the bottom of the map. The good news is it's to the right of the map, which means it has one of the most strongest forces of digital momentum anywhere in the world. And when I think about the European Union, it is at the other end of that momentum spectrum. It has got relatively low momentum, even though it is highly evolved. Now, where do we go next? There's a lot that's changing in this digital economy. We are creating artificial intelligence. Some people say we are creating God. Others feel we are summoning the devil. Yet others, Sundar Pichai, says we are doing something, creating something more profound than the invention of fire. And then, of course, right here in this very venue, we had the prophets of the world of artificial intelligence leading us to the future without the capacity to even agree or even hold hands. And I tried to sort of fix that, tried to see whether there's some way to get either of the AI machines, whether it is Claude or ChatGPT, to get the 2 of them to hold hands. And somehow they inserted some random person because even the AI models don't want the AI prophets to hold hands. So I inserted myself in between and tried to see if I could fix the problem myself. So today's wired belt, in terms of how we think about what artificial intelligence might do to us, we have just released a study focused on the United States. And what we are finding in the study, we'll see the same patterns play out across the world. So in the United States, the parts of the country that are likely to be the most vulnerable are the most advanced parts of the country. So the United States is likely to lose in the next 5 years an economy the size of Belgium because of jobs lost. The United States is likely to lose the equivalent of the economy the size of South Korea if adoption happens even faster, if agentic AI, for instance, takes off. The major centers of artificial intelligence, the major metro areas, the parts of the country that are making artificial intelligence happen, they are the ones that are likely to lose the most. 40% of the jobs are going to be lost in 5 states. And the biggest losses, and this is important for the audience here, the biggest losses are going to be in information technology, in finance, and professional and technical services. All of the sectors that are the white-collar growth engines of India. The same patterns are likely to play out here, just as it is playing out in the United States. Now, this means that we are creating, on top of existing inequalities, the technology is introducing a new form of inequality, which I would call artificial inequality. And this artificial inequality is not just an inequality in incomes, because jobs are going to be lost, maybe new jobs are going to be created, but currently we don't seem to have a plan as to how we get from the job losses to job creation. This income inequality is only part of the problem of inequality that we are baking in. There's going to be inequality because of data, inequality because different users are going to have different capacities to use artificial intelligence and get productive output from it. There's inequality across the world. Developed nations will have a different ability to gain from artificial intelligence than developing nations. There's going to be inequality because of the nature of the industry that's bringing AI to us. It's no more than 6 companies that pretty much are going to deliver all of artificial intelligence in the coming years. So if you imagine, currently a lot of our focus is on the Strait of Hormuz. Think about this as the Strait of Hormuz for where AI is going to go. If that strait is a very narrow bottleneck, that creates a lot of potential inequalities as to who gets to benefit on the other side of the bottleneck. And then artificial intelligence has an enormous impact on the environment and on energy. So there's going to be an energy divide because of increasing use of AI. But I have some better news. A few things to keep in mind. Countries like India are far more trusting of AI than countries like the United States, which means that there is going to be a greater ability to adopt artificial intelligence if we can create a bridge to the needs that have to be addressed through AI. So one way to think about this is, why don't we think about AI not in terms of the way we read about it every day, the big AI, billions and trillions of dollars being spent on it, but small AI, AI that's targeted to very specific users. So solutions to specific problems, not solutions to everything, designed for resource-constrained environments, using less computing power, preferably computing at the edge rather than computing that happens in the center of a network. It's stable, that it can work even without continuous internet access or even access to electricity. You want low upfront investment and easy way in which people can get access to knowledge and information about it and be able to use it. So what this means is you're developing artificial intelligence with very few parameters relative to hundreds and thousands of billions of parameters. The training costs are much lower. We are developing artificial intelligence that are good enough, not artificial intelligence that basically rebuilds superhuman intelligence. And then we use narrower data sets, local inference, and instead of trying to crawl through the internet and grab every piece of data available everywhere. What this means is that there is an opportunity for building AI for purpose rather than AI for power. Currently, all of our focus seems to be AI for power, including right here in India. And if we were to turn the tables and focus on AI for purpose, that could make a difference. And there are many ways in which this AI for purpose could be developed. Currently, we are studying and we are developing a number of different pilots for application of AI in agriculture, very specific targeted needs in agriculture that can be solved very powerfully with AI. We are exploring opportunities for women to get access to artificial intelligence. It is very inspiring to listen to Dr. Geeta and the work that she's doing in using artificial intelligence for female healthcare. So if you think about what can be done to solve the problems of women in the developing world using artificial intelligence to solve for problems, say, during maternity or other situations where there are healthcare needs and there aren't healthcare professionals available. To solve for problems of literacy. So there are children around the world who have the barest minimum in terms of education and literacy capabilities available to them. So this is a very powerful tool that what it can do is introduce just enough knowledge so that you can make a big swing in terms of people's lives, livelihoods, and well-being. And that swing can bring a massive productivity gain to a very wide swath of the global population. We are currently looking at trillions of dollars being spent for artificial intelligence in Silicon Valley, and corporate America is looking for quote-unquote use cases. And so far, it's not really found too many use cases and people willing to pay for it. We have use cases all around us right here in India. So what I'm suggesting is instead of focusing on big AI, we go to small AI. We use fewer resources, smaller data sets, less energy, but solve for many, many people's problems. And these are problems that I'm not going to go hunting for those use cases. They're right here. In the process of trying to set up these pilots and trying to expand our learning, we are going to try and understand what are the barriers that stand in the way. There are a number of different barriers, and these are the barriers that are going to affect the use of artificial intelligence, not just in the small way, but in the large way. But if we can overcome these barriers, infrastructure gaps, literacy gaps, data scarcity, model drift, integration, user, overcoming the barrier of user distrust, inadequate regulation and inadequate safety guardrails, if we can include more women into the digital ecosystem, if we can build pilots that ultimately scale and most significantly get over our political and institutional barriers, we can truly make a digital economy work for all. So imagine a digital economy for all. That is the big idea. Thank you for your attention.
You've left us with an idea, and an idea whose time has come, as the saying goes. Okay, well, now we're going to quickly, as we build up to our next segment, Next in Trade, where we, of course, will be joined very, very shortly by the Union Minister, Government of Bharat for Commerce and Trade, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. We're expecting him any minute now, so stay tuned for that. But we want to quickly play out, because as I was telling you yesterday on day one of the summit, we have, of course, a lot of dignitaries physically present here, prime ministers, members of parliament, speakers.